finally it's come time to conclude your speech, to write the last final word that you're going to be saying to your audience. The conclusion of your speech really matters, because not having a conclusion can oftentimes leave your audience feeling disappointed or confused. And I've had this happen one too many times in class, where a student will simply wrap up their third point and then sit down. And the audience kind of has this look of confusion, and this rustle goes through the classroom of, what just happened? Why is the speech over all of a sudden? So having that conclusion really helps to settle your audience and to really make your message stick in their mind. When you think about it, the introduction of your speech brings your audience into the world of your speech. So the job of the conclusion, then, is to put your audience back out into reality with their newfound knowledge or with the new behavior that they're going to enact thanks to your informative or your persuasive speech. The first thing that you should do in the conclusion is signal the end of your speech. It's the moment in your speech where you take a small step forward and you say, "So today, we talked about X, Y, and Z." And this lets the audience know that you're about to wrap things up and that you will be sitting down momentarily. And in addition, it helps your audience to remember your speech a little bit more, because you've reviewed those main points one more time and reminded them of what your thesis statement was, what your argument was. And really, the end of your speech is really important, because it's that moment in the classroom, for example, where the teacher starts wrapping things up and they say, "Does anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns?" And then they say, "So next week we'll be talking about blah, 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 blah." And you don't know what the blah, blah, blah is because you've started packing up your bag, right? It lets you know that the class is almost over. Now, hopefully no one will start packing up their bag when you signal the end of your speech. However, it does let the audience know, it cues them into the fact that we're wrapping things up and that we'll be done in just a second here. So your conclusion should always be relatively short, because if you signal to the audience that you're about to end your speech, and then you kind of keep talking and you add another argument and you add another citation and all this kind of stuff at the very end of your speech, the audience starts kind of groaning and asking themselves why you're still talking. So when you signal the end of your conclusion, or rather when you signal the end of your speech in your conclusion, make sure that you are actually starting to wrap things up.